What's going on, world? DS1 Ross, and we back here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Shout out to everybody who support the platform. Much love, much love. Salute to everybody that's in the building. Shout out to all the visionaries, man. Salute, salute, salute. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to y'all. Of course, we're back here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, and I'm your host, DS1 Ross, of course, and I appreciate all the love and the support. So let's hit that like button for me, family. If you are in the building, hit the like button, hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that like button. Also, I need y'all to hit a number 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. If y'all can hear me loud and clear, put a number 1 in the chat, fam. I need y'all to put a number 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Put a number 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Put a number 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me. Okay. Shout out to everybody. At least I know I'm being heard. Salute, salute, salute. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all share today's show. Hit that like button and share today's show. Share it on your community tabs, your Discord servers, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere that you share content. Make sure you share today's show. Make sure you share today's show. Make sure you share today's show. Shout out to everybody in the building. Let me get over here to the chat room and give some shout outs. Shout out to everybody that's in the clouds. Shout out to everybody that's in the clouds. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all share today's show. Shout out to Zaire. Good to see you. Shout out to you. Shout out to Cyber Boo. Shout out to you, Just Jay. Appreciate your love and your support. Shout out to Andre Harris in the building. Salute. Shout out to my man Ken Nash in the building. Salute, fam. Salute. James Pollard. What's good? What's good, James Pollard? Shout out to Mark Milliner in the building. Shout out to everybody in the clouds. Like I said, make sure y'all like and share today's show. We're going to get right into it. But before we get into it, make sure y'all go to the playlist section and click the playlist, The Black Man's Pain Storage. If this is your first time catching this series, you have a lot of catching up to do. So make sure y'all go over there to the playlist section, click the playlist, The Black Man's Pain Storage, and catch up on this lovely, lovely, lovely series that you guys asked for. So shout out to the visionaries once again. And y'all see today's show. The Black Man's Pain Storage Part 4. The Black Man Pain Storage Part 4. Shout out to my brother Alonzo Hall. Salute. Hey, Miss Angie. Good to see you, love. Shout out to you. Always coming through and holding down the Chizat. The Black Man's Pain Storage Part 4. Sexual abuse and the down low man. Now, as I was saying since Part 2, that we were going to get to this. We were going to get to this because we cannot go without mentioning this. Because this is another huge part of a lot of Black men's pain. A lot of Black men pain come from this too. And a lot of Black men are afraid to speak on this. But the pain from these from this type of trauma in particular is why you see a lot of the behavior that you see going on today with a lot of brothers. And they're not going to openly come out and admit it. A lot of them don't know. A lot of them don't know. And a lot of them are not going to come out and admit it. So on top of them not admitting what happened to them or trying to reconcile with themselves for what happened to them, they stay stuck in a place of anger, in a place of despair, and they just stay traumatized. And as they get older, their behavior begins to be very, very strange. And if a lot of y'all don't know why you have a lot of these guys with these weird behaviors and these weird concepts on things, it's because a lot of these guys are dealing with what we're going to speak about on today's show. See, what we're going to speak about on today's show, and shout out to everybody in the building. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all share today's show. But what we're going to speak about on today's show is something that's extremely taboo amongst Black people, in the Black family, in the Black community. This topic is extremely taboo. And the reason why I'm saying this is because sexual abuse in the Black family in general has always been something that has been taboo and has always been something that has remained a family secret in most Black families. Am I right or am I wrong, family? Shout out to Mark McJoy. Salute. But sexual abuse in the Black family is something that was always swept under the rug. It was hidden. It's part of a lot of Black family secrets. This is where a lot of the separation in the Black family derives from. And it's only been, I'm gonna say maybe 30 years, a little bit more, where Black people spoke about the sexual abuse that happened to Black women. See, even that's still a new thing. This is why you hear it so much in Black woman circles. This is why you hear it so much, on social media. This is why it's being spoken about, because even that is still fairly new. And when I say fairly new, I mean being exposed to the world. You see? So with it happening to us Black men, that is extremely taboo. That is something that is never want to be talked about. Black men in sexual abuse. And it's so is so misrepresented, and black men are so misrepresented, that if a black boy and he's being molested or touched by an older black woman, or just an older woman in general, she don't even have to be black. She doesn't have to be black. How many times we've heard that that boy might enjoy that? That, oh, he may not feel like he's being violated. He might actually like it. How many times we've heard this? Self University, salute, fam. How common is that statement about black men? See, because when it's some other little boy, oh, that little boy's being abused. Oh, that little boy's being taken advantage of. But the little black boy, he might have liked it. He might have liked it. And see, we're going to go into this today, because with black men hearing shit like that, that is why a lot of black men stay silent and they don't speak out about it. And they just find a way to store the pain. Because it's, oh, he may have liked it. Oh, well, what he did. Oh, well, what did he do? Did he make a move on her? Was he attracted to her? You see, we're gonna speak about this today, because this conversation is the conversation that really needs to be had. You see? See, having this conversation where brothers can be honest, this will stop the gender war. This will stop the gender war, see, because a lot of these black men on here, the reason for them blaming black women for everything is because a large percentage of them, right? And I'm not speaking on nobody in particular, but a large percentage of them, right, have been sexually abused, and their mothers weren't able to do anything about it. It happened because their mothers were never around. So they put what happened to them on their mothers. What's up, Letitia? Good to see you, love. This is what happens. This is what happens. See, a lot of guys, they're not going to tell you this. They're not going to tell you this. But it's time for us to have these conversations, because it's what's best for black men. If black men are going to start doing what's best for black men, we got to work on our mental health. How you going to win when you ain't right within? Huh? How you going to win when you ain't right within? You wonder why in the hip hop industry, you see all of these black men, they come, you find out that they zesty, that they take part in zesty activities. Shout out to Mace. Salute, OG. Right? If you look into a lot of these guys, or if you listen to a lot of these guys were sexually abused. A lot of these guys. See, y'all think, and when I say y'all, I'm talking to women. Y'all think that all of the hyper masculinity, calling women out their name and all of that shit, which is not a good thing, right? In the big scheme of things, it's not a good thing. But y'all think that dudes are just doing that to do it. No, it's a result of things. It's a result of certain things that have occurred. What's up, M. Mills? You see, as we know, the so-called father of hip hop, what he was and what he done. So you got to understand that hip hop itself has a dark side, and that dark side is sexual abuse. Hip hop, in a lot of ways, have commercialized. Well, I can't even say in a lot of ways, they have done it completely. They have commercialized the down low male. They've gotten women used to looking and liking and salivating over these down low males, and they've gotten the men to imitate these down low males. Am I saying all of these guys in the industry are down low? No. 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 That's not what I'm saying. But I'm telling you that is the archetype. That is what the thug archetype is. You see? And they've written this script for us, brothers. Oh, they have. Trust and believe. They have. Down to the fashion. They've written the script. So, shout out to everybody in the building. As I said before, hit the like button, share today's show. Let's get into some definitions. Like they say, Google is our best friend, right? Shout out to all the visionaries, man. The Cash App is going across the screen. Down low. What is the definition of the term down low? DL. Down low, this is according to Wikipedia. Down low, the term down low is an African American slang term. Did y'all hear that? Down low is an African American slang term. So that means that this terminology, down low, is specifically to identify black men. Why is that important? Why is that important? Because you never hear about the down low white man. You never hear about the down low Mexican man. You never hear down low be attached to no other men but black men. And the proof to that is Wikipedia. Down low is an African American slang term. So you can't be a down low white man. You can't be a down low Chinese man. You can't be a down low Korean man. You can't be any of those things because that's predicated to black men, the African American men. It is an African American slang term specifically used within the African American community that typically refers to a sexual subculture. See that? Look, listen to the wording. You got to pay attention to the wording. You got to pay attention to how they word shit. Shout out to Joel Benjamin. Salute, my brother. Typically refers to a sexual subculture. A subculture. So what they're admitting is that shit is usually not a part of our culture. That's why it's a subculture. You see? It's some shit that they made up under that. That's what that means. Specifically used within the African American community that typically refers to a sexual subculture of black men who usually identify as heterosexual but actively seek sexual encounters and relations with other men. You see? That's what down low is. That's what down low means. They practice something called gay cruising. I never heard of no shit like that. But practice gay cruising and frequently adopt specific hip hop attire. Let me read that again. Down low is an African American slang term specifically used within the African American community that typically refers to a sexual subculture of black men who usually identify as heterosexual, but actively seek sexual encounters and relations with other men, practicing gay cruising, and frequently adopt specific hip-hop attire during these activities. You see the connection? You see why I brought up BAM? You see the connection? You see? You see? Because BAM was the first down low male in hip hop. You see? Nobody really knew what he was doing. They generally avoid disclosing their same-sex sexual activities, even if they have female sexual partners, they are married to a woman, or they are single. The term is also used to refer to a related sexual identity. See? Down low has been viewed as a type of impression management that some of the informants use to present themselves in a manner that is consistent with perceived norms about masculine attribute, attitudes, and behavior. See? So now, with us understanding this, right? Let's read Black People in the Glass Closet. Because this is what they say. People are in the closet. They're in the closet. What does in the closet mean? That means they're hiding who they really are. And Black men who are on the DL, right? They have to hide who they are because it goes back to what I said earlier with sexual abuse or sexuality in general being taboo in the Black home. See, so if a grown man who decides to live his life on the low, right? What nobody knows is how or why he decides to live on the low and not out in the open. And this is where sexual abuse comes in. Because usually those guys have been sexually abused and they don't want anybody to know that that happened. And also, they don't want anybody to know that they were sexually abused by a man. And the sad part is they end up liking it. Not being abused, but being aroused in that way. And this is how this happens. You see? So what happens is these Black men have to walk around with the pain of what happened to them and have to deal with the pain of hiding who they are. Because they are ashamed of who they are, because they know that amongst other Black folk, especially other Black men, that's not something that's usually, accepted. So now they feel shamed for what happened to them, and they feel ashamed for who they are. And on top of that, they're secretly ashamed of them liking that. Because now they're living a secret life of them doing that on their own, them participating, in that activity as a man freely now. So they have to deal with the shame of that. So shout out to everybody in the building. Y'all hit the like button and y'all share today's show. Y'all hit the like button and y'all share today's show. Sugar Bum, what's up? Good to see you, sweetheart. Seven Holiday, what's going on? Shout out to my man Kwafi. Salute, fam. So let's go to this article by BBC News. The article will be down in the description box when the live loads up. The name of this article is, the article is from May 9th, 2019. Why abused black men are staying silent. Why abused black men are staying silent. Male survivors of childhood sexual abuse within the black community are being let down by the government, the head of a group of MPs has said. BBC reporter Ben Hunt, who was sexually abused himself, hears from men who say their needs have been overlooked. You see? This is what's going on with black men who deal with sexual abuse. And then we're just thrown into the DL category, you know, all black men are on the DL. All black men are on the DL. When the problem is black men are being sexually abused and being thrown out, you know, being left to dry. This is what's happening. The same things that black women say happen to them when they have to deal with sexual abuse, how they're not heard, and all of those things, it happens to black men also. It happens to black men also. This is why black men are not speaking out about it also. So let's read that again. Male survivors of childhood sexual abuse within the black community are being let down by the government. You see? Not black women. Okay? Male survivors of childhood sexual abuse within the black community are being let down by the government. The head of a group of MPs has said. BBC reporter Ben Hunt, who was sexually abused himself, hears from men who say their needs have been overlooked. This man says, I tried to bury it. See, this is what men do. We try to bury things. This is why this series is called The Black Man's Pain Storage. What is the first thing that came out this black man's mouth? I tried to bury it. This is the first thing we do. I tried to bury it. How many things we've been burying in our lives, black men? How many of y'all have had to bury this? Sexual abuse. And we not talking about just from men, we talking about from even women. Sexual abuse is sexual abuse. How many of us just had to bury it? How many of us have buried it and don't even understand the effects that play out in your life because of it? He said, I tried to bury it. I tried to move on. but it stays there, says Chris, not his real name. Chris was speaking after the publication of a government report looking into how adult survivors are supported in the UK. When he was 11, he says a 19-year-old perfect, who he considered a friend at the school, raped him. He breaks down, he tells his story. I became withdrawn completely. I became withdrawn. Pay attention. Then I was sick for a while. I think it was depression. Although when you're a kid, you don't know these things. It was messed up, and it shaped my personality today. That's extremely important, because you wonder why you hear some of the crazy shit you've heard from these black men today. Some of the things they've said, some of the things that they said that they would do, some of the things they said that they even done. It is because they partake in these things because their personality has been shaped through trauma. I'm gonna do a separate video, but as y'all heard, or if y'all haven't heard, Mystical is back in jail for grape again. Again, I think this is his third. This is his third grape charge. He keeps all his charges is grape charges, sexual assault. Why is this? And I bet you somewhere in his paperwork, if he got a psychological eval or went to a psychiatrist or something, or he sat down and spoke to somebody, I can almost guarantee he dealt with sexual abuse in some form or fashion. Because when trauma is not addressed or healed, it shapes your personality. It shapes how you view people and how you view the world. The man said, it messed me up. This is him speaking in the article. It messed me up and it shaped my personality today. It's like a scar you can't get rid of. It's like a scar you can't get rid of. Chris says he still lives with the pain. It took him years to seek help. This is why I say, brothers, we got to heal before we build. We got to heal before we build. We got to heal before we build. Seek help. It is normal for black men to take years before seeking action when it comes to their mental health in particular. See, a black man will go to the gym all goddamn day. He'll go to the gym, he'll get on a diet, he'll do all of that. He'll try his best to keep his physical health and his physical appearance up. But he will not go that extra mile. He will not put in that extra footwork for his mental health. And black men, that shit has to change because what? Our pain storage. We're running out of room. This is why the black male suicide rate is up. This is why the black male incarceration rates are up. Because we're acting out of pain. Because we're running out of places to store our pain. You see? Once you're filled up within, only thing left to do is to pour it out. And when you pour it out, it comes out in violence. It comes out in frustration, anger, rage, wrath. That's how it comes out. We got to stop running from the real work, fellas. We have to. Because look what this brother said. It messed me up and it shaped my personality today. It shaped his personality. It's like a scar you can't get rid of. It took him years to seek help. How many more of us got to drop dead here on YouTube before we seek help? How many more of us? How many more brothers you got to hear took themselves out right here on YouTube before we go seek some help? Before we understand that we're our own agency. And that only we can fix this problem. Because only us can advocate for us, because only we really should be the only ones that give a fuck about us. At least black men. If nobody else care about black men, at least we should. At least we should. At least we should. At least we should care enough about what black men go through, if nobody else is. So let's continue. Here's the university breakdown. He is not alone. I was sexually abused as a teenager by someone older who I trusted. You notice what both of these brothers said was it happened to them by people they trusted. This goes back to episodes 3 and 3.5. Make sure y'all go and check them out. We spoke on what? Family trauma. Family trauma. This is where sexual abuse usually starts. Family trauma. This is where it starts. And you wonder why that little boy outside wanting to shoot everybody. Because he afraid somebody gonna come and hurt him again. He don't want to feel like he preyed upon. So he becomes a predator. He becomes a predator. And then the business of white supremacy kicks in. But let's continue. He said he is not alone. I was sexually abused as a teenager by someone who I trusted, who I looked for help. No, when I looked for help, I couldn't find any. This is another black man. He couldn't find no help. Why? Because black men don't have no agency. Black men don't have no agency. Black men are alone. See that? Let's read it again. I was sexually abused by someone older who I trusted. When I looked for help, I could not find any. I even tried to find something to show that I was not the only black man out there who had been abused as a young person, but discovered nothing. See that? After having a breakdown at university, I was made to see a therapist. But many black men never speak up. When they do, experts believe this often takes place at a crisis point. You see how everybody looks at black men as the beast of burden. You see how everybody knows that the black man has a pain storage. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows that the black man is so strong, is so resilient, that you can throw anything at these niggas. Anything. Mass incarceration, drugs, gang banging. Throw it all at them. A black man gonna find a way to make it. Everybody knows this about black men. Everybody knows this. Everybody. And they use it to their advantage, black men, because they don't understand our pain storage. They don't understand. And by the time y'all listen to black men, oh, it's a problem. It's an epidemic. You know how many black boys done died and black boys done killed themselves and lost their way in life before you said it was a goddamn epidemic? This is why I say, black men, we are our own agency. So let's continue. Willis Atherley Bourne, a trauma therapist, says a large number of men will only begin to speak out about their abuse when they're in the criminal justice system. What did I just say a few minutes ago? What did I say a few minutes ago? We have no goddamn help until we run out of storage and the shit begins to pour outwardly. And it comes out in the form of violence. And what happens? The business of white supremacy kicks in. Prison. Prison. Then they find out this man been sexually abused since he was 6. From the time he was 6 up until he was 17. And you wonder why he's so goddamn violent. You wonder why he in there on 2 attempt murder charges. You wonder why he can't keep a job and listen to authority. Because the people in authority is the people who took advantage of him. But y'all don't want to hear that from black men. You know, black men are just rude. You know, black men are just aggressive. You know, we're super predators. But y'all never talk about when we get preyed on. Y'all never talk about that. You know, black men could never get preyed on. You know, black men are strong. You know, Black Panther. You know, shit like bullshit like that. Black men don't get preyed on. Black men are never victims of nothing. Right? Black men are never victims. Ever. You better not ever say a black man is a victim. This is why you heard this trauma therapist just say what he said. They don't speak about our abuse is never documented until we're in prison. Just like a lot of black men, a lot of black youth got to go to jail to learn how to read. Brothers, when we gonna wake up? Willis Atherley Bourne says many services of survivors are not representatives of the black community. He also added, they are at that breaking point, and there's nothing else to lose. This is a black therapist, a black trauma therapist. His name is Willis Atherley Bourne. He said black men are at their breaking point. We're at our breaking point. We can't take it no more. We can't take it no more. Pain storage. They're at that breaking point and there's nothing else to lose. He says many black men end up self-medicating and do not receive the professional support they need. We don't receive the support that we need. Support needs unmet. Shout out to everybody in the building, by the way. Shout out to all the visionaries in the building. Hit the like button, share today's show. Hit the like button and share today's show. My bad, y'all. That was just a whole little glitch just now. My bad, y'all. But hit the like button and share today's show. I'm going to read some of y'all comments. Shout out to my man Jay from Philly. Salute. Kwafi says it starts with mothers and fathers not telling their young boys the same as they would tell their daughters, not to sit in the presence of grown men on the laps. Facts. Even in that grown people are not abusing these kids. You have the older boy up the street doing it, or another dude who's relatively the same age, and it says if you tell someone, they're gonna think you're gay. That's true too. Right. Also in prison. That very thing that hurt us have turned men into going in directions for begging for more pay. Yes. What's up, Antonio Couture? What's going on? What's up, Perfectly Imperfect? Let's continue. The All-Party Parliamentary Group, that's APPG, for adult survivors of childhood sexual abuses report said that some 365 survivors came forward about their experiences. Fewer than a quarter of them said that the NHS as a whole met their support needs. Only 16% said the police guided them towards support services. See that? Pay attention to this. But the report also urged the government to do more research into the experiences of Black and LGBT survivors. Its chair, Labour MP Sarah its chair Labor MP Sarah Champion said the government is clearly not serving the Black and LGBT community when it comes to supporting adult survivors of sexual abuse. She added that the APPG would be looking into this further. A government spokesman said, "We are working across government and with the third sector to ensure that victims of this dreadful crime receive the right emotional, medical, and psychological support as they rebuild their lives." You see? So even the government understands you have to heal before you build. Even the government understands this. Even the government understands. For Sosay and Kevin, who have both struggled with the effects of sexual abuse they suffered as children, there are a variety of reasons why Black male survivors are not seeking help. One of them is the distrust of the police. And why do we have a distrust for the police? Because we deal with the constant threat of extinction. So this is why a Black man think going to the police and speaking up is useless. Because we're not used to getting help by the police. We're not. We're not. And as I just read a paragraph before this, only 16% of those people said the police guided them towards support services. So the police are not doing shit. And Black men are used to police not dealing with the things that happen to us. When we get shot, we used to the police coming late. We used to the police trying to plant something on us. We used to the police, wrongfully accusing us and throwing us in prison. So how are we going to feel comfortable going to them and reporting what happened? And not only that, on the flip side to that, the people who do go, only 16% of them actually was sent in the right direction to get some help. As Black men, we don't think about it. We're going to the police to get that person arrested, Kevin explains. Part of the problem is also the stigma and not knowing what the Black community will think of them, right? Being called the snitch. We are also coming from a culture where you shut up and put up, Sosay says. Facts. You don't talk about your situation, he says, especially not to someone outside the family. Now, shout out to my brother, the Book of Ronan, because he has always said this. Growing up and hearing what happens in this house stays in this house, don't say nothing and none of that's some toxic shit. That is some toxic shit. It's toxic. And as we grow older, that toxic shit that we were taught transfers into Black men not seeking help. Because if I go and seek help, I gotta go tell these people what happened. And my mama told me not to go and tell nobody what go on in our house. So I'm not going to go tell nobody. I'm not going to go get no help. You don't talk about your situation, he says, especially not to someone outside the family, such as a therapist. The men say this is made worse by the fact that there are no specialist charities for Black male survivors, and that the more mainstream charities do not understand the cultural differences. If I saw a documentary or imagery of sexual abuse growing up that had Black men where they spoke out, it would probably wouldn't have taken me 30 years to come forward. It took this man 30 years to come forward. Why? Because as he just explained, it is not mainstream. Growing up, you don't see depictions of Black men getting help for certain things that happen to them in their life. You don't see these commercials. You don't see it played out in cartoons and movies, none of that. So that adds to a Black man saying, well, no one else is getting help, so I know I'm not going to get no help, so I'm not going to say shit about it. And it took this man 30 years to come forward. It took him 30 years. In part 1 of this series, I spoke on Black youth who were committing suicide between the ages of 10 to 19. So they're already coming out with what it already understood not to say nothing, and they just taking themselves out. Mr. Atherley Bourne, that's the Black therapist, agrees, saying Black male survivors are visibly not seen. You see, it is not Black men who have survived from this. Where are they? Where are they? Can we find them on a podcast? Huh? Where are they? Where's the organizations? Where are they? Many services, he believes, show white European males and are not representative of the Black community. You see? See, this is why there is no stigma connected to the white male. This is why you don't hear the down low white male, the down low Asian male. That's why you don't hear it. Because they can go and get their sexual abuse issues dealt with. Chris says if he have had access to a Black GP or therapist, it would make a huge difference. I could easily relate to them. But the lack of services, the lack of agency, right? The lack of what? Educational support. But the lack of services tailored toward the Black community, he adds, means people like him are unwilling to speak publicly. The stage has not been set to come out and have this conversation freely. You see, and this is why there's only 30 people in here. You see, the article even says it. The stage has not been set to come out and have this conversation freely. You see? And what continues to happen? Black men continue to store this pain. Black men continue to store this pain. This is what's happening. They continue to store the pain. Time and time again. Time and time again. This is what they're doing. This is what happens. Shout out to everybody in the building. Hit the like button and share today's show. Now, before we wrap up today's show, we're going to read the effects of sexual abuse in men. And one of those effects of sexual abuse in men is hypersexuality. Hypersexuality. You always got to go get that. You always got to go and get that. Hypersexuality. It says, I recently came across a study that established interconnections between trauma, self-conscious emotions such as guilt and shame, and hypersexuality. The tendency towards hypersexuality appears especially strong among male trauma survivors. So one of the responses to sexual abuse in men is hypersexuality. It's hypersexuality. Sexual abuse at any age may predict hypersexuality in both men and women. Researchers report in the Journal of Sexual Medicine. However, the association is stronger in men who have experienced abuse as children and adolescents and adults. So what they're saying is what usually happens, and this happens in women too, but it's more prevalent in men, that when we deal with sexual abuse, we become more sexual. Where a lot of times with women, for the most part, they become recluse. Some women become hypersexual, but for the most part, most women become recluse. They close up. Most guys turn up. Women close up, the men turn up. You see? What is hypersexual behavior? Some of the most common characteristics that a hypersexual person includes compulsive sexual behavior. Compulsive sexual behavior. Recurring and uncontrollable sexual fantasies. See, all of this is a result of sexual abuse. And you start dealing with hypersexuality. This is part of the behavior of it that you see going on with black men. Recurring and uncontrollable sexual fantasies. Difficulty establishing and maintaining a relationship with other people. Let me read that again. Difficulty establishing and maintaining a relationship with other people, especially a romantic partner, because of their preoccupation with sex. Kwafi says Kirk Franklin tried to do his son that way. Instead of hiring an outside therapist, he wanted him to talk to another guy in the church about his problems. Exactly, so they can further hide what really went on. So as y'all can see, and as y'all heard today, sexual abuse is a problem in the black community. This down low male problem comes from sexual abuse. That's where it comes from. And what we have to do as black folks, and I'm wrapping this show up, shout out to everybody in the building. Hit the like button and share today's show. I appreciate y'all for coming through. But what we have to do is we have to stop making sex and sex talk taboo. We have to stop hiding our sexuality in our families, around our children. Sex should not be taboo. I'm not saying walk around and be raunchy and do all of that. I'm not saying that. But we have to stop making sex taboo in black families. Because this is why no one speaks up when abuse come into play. This is why nobody speaks up. Because who really feels comfortable going to their mom talking about sex? Who really feels comfortable going to their dad, going to their uncles, talking about sex? So how could you actually feel comfortable going to them and telling them somebody touching you? Or somebody, full on took advantage of you and raped you? You'll never feel comfortable doing that. In some families, people hide their boyfriends and girlfriends till they about to get married. Because how much of sex and all of this stuff is taboo. And it's not good. Because it's hurting our children. It's hurting the people that we say are the future of our families and the future of our legacies and all of that. It's hurting them. Because we've allowed those things to hurt us. And we're not doing anything about it. We're not doing anything about it. Hiding it isn't doing anything about it. Shout out to my brother, the Book of Ronan. He says, the term down low has been openly weaponized to dismiss the dehumanization of its victims while erasing the accountability of monetizing the collateral damage of the family and the black masculinity. It's twofold. Facts. Shout out to my brother, the Book of Ronan. I appreciate the super chat, my brother. That's a fact. That is a fact. That is a fact. But it's our job. Something that we can do is we have to start having these conversations, and we have to stop making them taboo. Just because we know what such and such did, and we got to start putting it out there. I don't care who it is. We have to start putting it out there, because we have to understand that that's healthy. Black folks, we have to stop doing unhealthy shit expecting good results. We have to stop making sex taboo and then wondering why your little cousin is pregnant at a young age when nobody even knew she was having sex. And then she become a grown woman, she becomes a grown woman. And then one day at the family reunion, she breaks out and tells everybody how Uncle such and such used to do this, that, and the third to her. And now it's like, oh my God. And nobody believes her because she waited all of her life to tell everybody. And what's the first thing y'all say? Why didn't you tell no one? The same reason why your sister didn't tell nobody. The same reason why you didn't tell nobody. The same reason why your boy cousin didn't tell nobody. The hell you mean? Because it's a common thing in the family to keep what go on in this house to stay in this goddamn house. Don't tell nobody you being abused. And what does that translate to later on? Mental illness. Mental illness. It turns into a mental health issue. It turns into the black suicide rate being sky high. It turns into suicide being the second leading death for black youth from the ages of 10 to 19. That's the second leading cause of death for black youth from that age group. Suicide. And why do they say people commit suicide? Or why most black youth are killing themselves? Family issues. Family issues. What do you think some of those family issues are? Sexual abuse. And there's a lot of black men walking around with this baggage. They're walking around with this baggage. Fellas, how long? How long you think you can hold it? See, the black man in New York, he couldn't hold it no more. The black man that did the crazy shit on the train, he couldn't hold it no more. This is an example of the black man's pain storage. That's why I say we got to heal before we build, fellas. Because we already got to deal with the goddamn world. We got to deal with the world being against us. So while we out here fighting this world that's actively against us, we can't be against ourselves. We can't be against ourselves. We can't keep doing things that's detrimental to us. Thanks, Cyberboo. Much appreciated. I appreciate that. I'm going to leave that up there on the screen. Fellas, we got to heal before we build, man. The article even said it. The article even said it. That we as Black men need the proper help so we can get back on track to rebuild our lives. That's what healing is for. It is for you to turn, it is for you to be able to rebuild. See, if you try to skip healing, you're never going to get to actually rebuilding yourself, because you're always going to be in pieces. You're always going to be in shambles. You see? So shout out to everyone. Any brothers that need any help, there's a hotline right on the screen. There's a hotline right on the screen. I'm going to also put this hotline number in the description box. So if you guys need any help, you can reach out to someone. You can reach out to someone. And very soon, you'll be able to reach out, to guys like myself, man. Because that's what we're working toward over here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. There's a link for online. But write down that number, brothers. No doubt. No doubt. Let me put the tip in. Salute, fam. Appreciate you. There are chat options available on the link above. So on this link here, y'all take down this link. Y'all follow this link. You can actually actively talk to someone. So if you need to talk to someone immediately, you can actively chat with them on this link. So when I finish this show, which I appreciate you guys coming through, I will have the link and this number in the description box. Shout out to everyone. I appreciate everyone for tuning into today's show. Shout out to all of you visionaries. I appreciate all the love and the support. If you enjoyed today's show, donate to the show. The Cash App is going across the screen. The Cash App is going across the screen. I appreciate all the love and the support. If you hit the super chat, if you hit the Cash App, it's very much appreciated. But most importantly, I appreciate everyone being here. So make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. Make sure y'all hit the like button and make sure y'all share today's show. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all share today's show. Also, if you need to catch up on this series, you can easily find all of the videos. Just click my playlist section, click the playlist section, and click the playlist, The Black Man's Pain Storage. You can catch every episode right there. I appreciate everyone for tuning into today's show. Shout out to y'all once again. I appreciate all the love and the support. DS1 Ross, Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Y'all stay tuned for part 5 coming. Y'all stay tuned for part 5, just as y'all asked. I appreciate all the love and the support. Before we get up out of here, I definitely can't forget this. This will also be down in the description box. Suicide and Crisis Hotline or Lifeline. Just dial 988. Just dial 988. So fellas, you don't have to feel like you don't have no help. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, Hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I drop some new content right here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Y'all stay tuned for part 5 coming. DS1 Ross, Sheep Stay Sleep TV. And remember, brothers, we got to heal before we build. We have to heal before we build, because we are our own agency. We are our own agency. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.